All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture just to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Listen, we are here and we are back. We are reviewing season 2, episode 2 of Bel Air, entitled Speaking Truth. We're about to speak some truth around here. And the truth is, a lot of stuff going on this little show right here. So I won't go in order of anything. I am just going to hit the topics that interest me and my perspective about what's going on. So we have Carlton. So let's take each child. We have Carlton. He's having a situation where he has been doing okay on his medication, because I told you I'm worried about Carlton. I am really, really worried about Carlton. But apparently, Carlton's anxiety medication has been up so high that it's messing with his sleeping. And it's because he's not sleeping, it's giving him anxiety and stuff like that. So Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv had to talk with his psychiatrist, his the doctor, so it's a psychiatrist or his psychologist, and they kind of just went over the pros and cons about whether or not the dosage should be lowered. And the doctor gave the best advice that I thought was, he may or may not, because I think they were concerned about him having to take the medication for a long period of time. And the doctor just told him he may have to take this medication for a very long period of time through his adulthood. And the doses are going to be up and down, up and down. It's best to be able to show him now how to do this safely than for him to just, be an adult, because you won't have any control over him then. And then he do it cold turkey, and then he spirals completely out of control. So as a couple, they've decided to allow Carlton to decrease his medication. So we'll see how that happens. We'll see how that works out. In the meantime, Carlton is dealing with the BSU because he still likes Yasmin, who is the BSU president. And there's an issue that's going on, but I'm going to table that for right now, because because I want to go ahead and put Ashley in it right now, and then it'll go back through with this BSU issue. So here we have Ashley. Ashley has been working with Miss Hughes. Miss Hughes has been offering her books and things like that outside of the curriculum that she can catch up on, that she can read at her own issue. Now, that's not in itself a bad thing, but apparently there was a policy against that, because one of the white students didn't like that, and they don't like anything that's going to challenge. There are a segment of white people that don't like anything that's going to challenge their status quo and what they believe America is. And so this is what's happening, because one of the little girls in Ashley's class was like, well, I didn't understand it. I didn't even understand this whole point of view. She wouldn't, because her point of view is what her parents have put through. And then there's a whole perspective of what goes on in the United States that a lot of white people are not privy to. And so their initial response is to make it seem like there's, you all are just gaslighting. That's the word I'm looking for. To gaslight what is being seen. Or what we're talking about. Oh, it can't be that bad because I don't experience that in my life, right? It can't be that because I don't experience. So because I don't experience what you experience is not the truth. That's that level of stuff. And if it's something that continues to bubble up, I think now in our society, people have taken a terminology that has been used by African Americans to get African Americans to see that we live in a country, we live in a world that is not that's set up against us. We will thrive as best we can in that system, but you have to understand and know that it is not catered to you. And so that's called being woke. Just meaning you pay attention to what's going on. Don't always look for the overt. Look at everything. Look at how people are interacting. Look at where the money goes. Look at all these different things. And so now you'll have a lot of people who are extremely conservative take that to mean, hey, you all are attacking me and I don't want to be attacked. See, that's because y'all are over here and y'all are woke. Y'all are trying to get people to see things that's not there. That's not the truth. That's not what we're asking. That's not what is being asked of folks. We're just saying, recognize that this system works in favor for a certain group of people. People thrive within this system as they need to, but we just recognize if something doesn't seem right, we want to call it out and make it seem right. Everything is not races. Some things are classes. And I think a lot of us don't want to talk about that. There's some things a lot here that are classes. And a lot of people think, oh, well, because you have money, you shouldn't be worried about that. Okay. But I just wanted to put that out there that this is the kind of situation that's going on. It's a subtle like situation. So what does that have to do with Carlton and the BSU? So that issue was brought up. Apparently, Miss Hughes was a beloved key teacher in middle school, and that they were very upset with the fact that she was firing. Aunt Viv was very upset. She took it to the parent teachers union, I guess I'm calling it that, and half of them was like, well, she just violated the rules and so therefore she had to go. And the other people was like, well, maybe that's what the problem is. Maybe it's some rules that's the problem. And when you push against a system, everybody wants to all of a sudden it's this way. It's law and order. But as long as it's as long as they can move the system the way they want to, then it's not a problem. But if you try to get in there and try to do something else with the system, then it becomes a problem. What's that phrase? It's cool when you do it. It's a problem when I do it. That little phrase. If you listen to that phrase, that'll put that whole thing up in a nutshell. So it went back to the BSU, and they are talking about a blackout, or just basically letting the administration know that they were just upset about them firing one of the few Black teachers in the school. All right. So with Carlton, he had I guess she's the BSU advisor. You remember my last review? I said that Miss Hughes reminds me of the young Black people that stir stuff up, and I was saying that there's others that like for things to be status quo because they thrive in that, because they are. Let me put it to you real clear, because I don't want to talk around what I'm saying. There are some of us as Black folks that when we are in the room with white people and we notice that there are other people in the room that look like us white people, we will make a concerted effort to move those other people out of the room, because we want to be the only Black person in the room. We want to be the only person that shows ideas going back and forth. We want to be the only person in that room. Okay. There are some of us that are like that. I just wanted to point that out. That's the vibe that the advisor is giving to me, because she was saying, telling Carlton, hey, you need to watch out, because you don't want anything to mess up your reputation. You don't want anything to mess up the fact that you're going to want to go to an Ivy League school. You don't want anything to move and shake with that. And so I don't know if she know it or not, but that's also moving to his level of anxiety, because Lisa had talked to him about applying to this for this. I don't know if it was a scholarship or an award, an accolade. She wanted him to apply for it because he has aspirations to go to Princeton and all this other stuff. And so he was like, she was saying, you need certain things to get you to that point. And that advisor kind of needled in on Carlton's wants or need to get to that thing. So his anxiety is kicking up. Let's get to Will. Well, no, let's not get to Will yet. So we did Carlton, we did Ashley. Let's get to Hillary. Hillary is in the house, and she's convinced Jazz that she wants to borrow his Impala, his classic car, to do look like a music video or a video about them going into the house. And She convinces him over some food. So he he lets her do it, but he goes and checks up on her because she said that she wasn't going to let anybody drive the car. Then turns around, Ivy wants to drive the car, and she acquiesces, knowing that uh he said don't drive the car. All right. That's a problem. If you're using something of someone's and they put uh protocols, parameters, and things about you doing it, and then you do something else, that's a problem because now I can't trust you. If I can't trust you with something that is a precious thing to me, I might not be able to trust you in a whole lot of other stuff going on. It's just one of those realities. I just will, I just want people to understand that. That's a reality that, if you can't trust somebody one way, you might not be able to trust them in a lot of different things. So just think about that. Hillary schmoozes, he gets upset. She smoozes him again and invites him over to the house where he is going to have dinner with her parents, but she just sprung it on him. Hillary, you was wrong for that. You prepare people for that. You just don't spring stuff on him. Because, in her effort to try to get back and be in good graces with him, she just sprung that on him. And I'm like, child, what is you doing? What is you really doing? Your folks don't really care nothing about that. And they don't seem to be like they care too much about jazz like that. So, but, and it was so funny because he went to go dap up Uncle Phil, and Uncle Phil was like, I'm going to keep you at arm's length. I'm going to keep you at arm's length. And he was like, ooh, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? Why is it like this? That was to me funny. I thought that was organically funny because Uncle Phil's like, that's my honeybee baby, and you ain't finna sit up here and be with my honeybee and I not feel some kind of way about it. Speaking of Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv, I just want to lump that in real quick. Uncle Phil finally gets around to apologizing to Jeffrey, and Jeffrey does come back to the house. However, I am really interested in what in the world happened that Jeffrey had to let his son go. He had to stop or just relinquish. I don't know if he relinquished his parental rights. I don't know exactly what happened, but he cannot be around his son. That is an interesting plot that I hope we explore at least toward the middle of this season. I hope that comes out as to why he had to do that, because that's something serious. What's going on? So I did like the fact that Uncle Phil apologized. He let Jeffrey know that Jeffrey's more than just an employee. He is his friend. And he wants him to come back home, and he does allow Jeffrey to come back home. This is just this light, child. I think I like the orange light on me. Anyway, Aunt Viv, honey, old light skin is sending her through some things, because you remember last episode she did an interview, and then I guess the interviewer went to go talk with Reed, and then Reed probably just took over the interview because the fellowship is Aunt Viv, so she's the one that has the access to the monies and things like that. But Reed did help her get this fellowship. Now Reed is thinking that he's got control to use this money to do what he wants to with it. And I don't think he's contending on the fact that Vivian is not playing these games with him, because she went to go, they scheduled a meeting, and then he's doing that old Casanova manipulation kind of stuff to keep her coming back. He knows that she's supposed to be coming to a meeting, and then he decides to leave, claiming he had an art emergency. Child, please, you ain't got no art emergency, because that art emergency could have been taken care of after a meeting. Especially this is a meeting with a woman who has the keys to the purse strings. But he's using this fact that he's a desirable man to try to play her back and forth and play her back and forth. Reed does not understand that Aunt Viv is backed by Uncle Phil. Thus, she's backed by Jeffrey. He better stand down. That's all I'm going to say. He better stand down. All right. So now we want to get to talk about Will. Will, he is on the basketball team. Will's aspirations and goals is really bigger than the team that he is on. So the coach is more about making good team players. Therefore, you're making good citizens. It's not about them matriculating into school into colleges uh, on scholarships or basketball scholarships, because most of them are probably legacy kids. They're going to get into the college that their parents got into because their parents went to that college before. Uh, or they're going to have scholarships and things like that. It has everything to do with something academic, not necessarily sports. I think Will's aspirations and goals is that he wants to go to a school where the basketball team is highlighted so that he could play Division 1 basketball. That's his goal. That's what he wants to do. However, ever since he got kicked out of Philly, they're not Division 1's teams looking at basketball players that play for Bel Air Academy. And he knows this. And so he is hooked up with Mr. Hightower, who happens to have, I guess, like a travel ball team that a lot of scouts do come to those teams and look at those players. So people are able to make scholarships. So that's what Will wants to do. But Will has done all of this without actually researching Mr. Hightower. He just knows Mr. Hightower can get him where he has to go. And so he's doing all of the things or doing things to get into the vision, getting to the sights of Mr. Hightower. And Mr. Hightower sees him. But Mr. Hightower is trying to figure out what's going on with Will, because I think with all this altruism that Mr. Hightower is doing, I do think that there is some underbelly about him. And I'll go over right now, because we know that Will was impressed by Jackie. You remember Jackie? She was the one with the dog that was yip, yip, yapping at his heels. So he gets into a conversation with Jackie because he knows that she has some influence with Mr. Hightower. He just doesn't understand or know what that is. So what happens is Jackie calls him and invites him to a party. And then the party is after hours. So she's trying to see if she can get him to get to this after hours party. So he's going to connive and flip and try to get to it. Even so much that you remember I talked about Carlton, and Carlton can't sleep. Carlton catches him trying to sneak out. And he was telling him, I can show you how to get out of here without you upsetting the cameras. But you got to take me with you. So Jazz is out there to pick those two up. They go to the club. Mind you, Carlton's anxiety and his lack of focus, because if I'm not mistaken too, he does have some ADHD issues, if I'm not mistaken. So you can see it that, with them decreasing the medication, his lack of focus is showing. You can see him not being able to focus because they're having to, he's that little jerk he does. He's not focusing like he needs to. They get to the party. He's looking, that party is too visually stimulating for him because he's looking at everything. He's just like, oh my gosh, he's looking at so much stuff. He's not paying attention to nothing. He's just like, ooh, wait. Will has to kind of get him focused. Hey, you need to focus. This girl is looking at you. Why don't you go out here and dance? He gets out there and dance, and he's holding his own. You got to give it to him. He out there holding his own because he had one girl in the front, one girl in the back, and then they decided that they wanted to get something to drink. And so he was going to go get them some water, but he was walking away. And Will interpreted like, hey, let me go check on him real quick because I don't know exactly what he's doing, where he's going. But he was okay. He says, they want to get some water. I'm going to go get some water, and everything is going to be cool. So meantime, in between time, Jazz is over there dancing with somebody. Will is dancing with Jackie, and he's talking to her like, hey, I need for you to set up something with Mr. Hightower because I want to talk to him now. And she's just like, I thought you'd be out here with me and all this other stuff. And then she kind of stops dancing. And he was like, what's wrong? And she said, my uncle wants to talk to you. Baby, he turns around and guess who her uncle is? I'm not going to let you wait too long. It's old Mr. Hightower. So they go back and they talk, and he basically tells him, look, I saw what you did on the basketball court. And he says, let me just tell you something. No one questions a winner. So you're out there playing that game. He says, as long as you win, no one's going to have an issue or problem with you. because of the fact, or how you, if you're not playing the plays or anything, because it's all about the winning. And everybody wants to win. They don't care how you win. As long as you're not doing anything to upset, they don't care anything about that. So you can be upset with the players and play within that little thing. He says, but that's not going to get the D1 scouts out here. You play in that type of ball. They want to see people who are go-getters, and get out here and play this game. And if you want to get to D1, you're going to have to up your game, and you're going to have to make sure that you are a winner, you are a leader, and you are putting your team on your back. That's the way I interpret it, y'all. But so Will basically does that. So we have the next game, and he's out there dominating. I mean, taking the shots and everything like that. He was supposed to set up the other guy like he did in the last game to make the last shot. No, he made the last shot and won. He didn't get no clips, no beefs, no nothing because of the fact that he won. He passed the ball to the white guy before in the previous game, what Mr. Hightower was referring to, and they lost because the guy didn't make the shot. You know, coach is always wanting to set up the shot with this guy. Anyway, let's fast forward just a tad. So Mr. Hightower tells him this is that party. And here's the thing about when I talked about, I think Mr. Hightower, though he has some altruistic things, there's something shady about him. I think it's something real shady about a guy that would use his niece to get what he wants. Because you remember at the end of last episode, he was looking up Will, and he saw that Will was over there playing D1 basketball, and now he's over here playing in Bel Air, and he's trying to figure out why. Now, why that's important, I don't know at this point, but for him, it is important. Thank God and country, old Brits would say, that Jeffrey is back on board, because now we can be able to see that Jeffrey is going to be taken care of and handling the situation. So then we fast forward to the second game. As I said, Will plays, they win the game. Mr. Hightower is talking to Will, but Uncle Phil comes over and lets Mr. Hightower know that he is the man. And I love that for Will. I love that. Hey, you got an issue or something? You let me and my wife talk about what's the next step for him. You just don't arbitrarily make those little things. And, you put all that manly energy all up in there. And Mr. Hightower sees what's going on. So, and pretty much I think that is everything in the episode. I didn't go in the order, but I think that's everything in the episode. What did y'all think about this episode? I thought it was interesting. We've got some things brewing that we might get a protest from the school. We see that Carlton's anxiety is about to spiral out of control. We see that there's probably going to be some tension between Hillary, Jazz, and her father. So I don't see that relationship is going to continue. I just don't see that, because there's going to be some issues going on. Let's see. Jeffrey is back, so we're gonna allow Jeffrey some time to get back into everything like this, so that him and Uncle Phil can sit down and have a nice little discussion about what's going on. I have not forgotten Uncle Phil got some stuff to go on in his job at his firm that he is going to have to take care of. So that's all I got, y'all. That's all I got. It's a little bit longer than I want it to be, but I wanted to get those points out there because I think that this show is getting so much better. It's getting better. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to keep me coming to next week. I did not see the previews for the next episode, so they may come out later, maybe in a couple of days, because when I rewatched the show, that's when I saw the previews. So once they come out, I'm going to get the previews and we are going to discuss it, but discuss what your theories are down here in the comments, y'all. I really, really, really want to hear it. Please like and comment and subscribe to my channel. I really do appreciate all my subscribers. Please tell a friend, tell your kin folks, hell, tell that person that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.